Hey everyone, welcome back to OCD Recovery's YouTube channel. Today I have a video that Rob and I were discussing. He made a post a couple days ago breaking down some points about ROCD, some of the irrational beliefs surrounding ROCD, some of the compulsive behaviors that ROCD sufferers partake in. And it's always important to remember there's also a lot of overlap with some of these fears. You might have HOCD, homosexual OCD, and ROCD, trans OCD, false memory and real event with cheating. But we're going to stick kind of to the main things of ROCD and break those down. So as always, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button. Let us know what you think down below. Always comment down below if there's questions that you have. I go through all the videos up to a week, and if a video is posted on a Monday for a week straight, I'll go through and check all the comments and answer them as best as I can. So you won't be able to work out if you love them. OCD will hold those feelings back, and chasing that is a futile pursuit. Now, in OCD and anxiety recovery, well, the journey itself, one of the biggest mistakes we make as OCD sufferers is trying to figure out whether something is real or not. The more we try to pursue if feelings have validity, and we're trying to prove whether we love them, and that can take the forms in many different ways. Sitting on your laptop for an hour straight, looking at old pictures, thinking, well, did I love them in this picture? Do I love them now? Getting used to that discomfort of not knowing whether you love them or not is critical. And when you break down some of the beliefs surrounding love, there's a lot of people out there that say to you, this is what love means. Love is completely subjective, and there is no one way to prove objectivity about love. Now, we have societal standards that look different from generation to generation, time period to time period. What someone considered love today in, say, Manhattan might look very different what someone considers love in, say, Ireland 300 years ago. So it's not the same. It changes all the time, and there's primarily subjectiveness in what love means. Breaking that down is key, and realizing that even if you never felt love, you can still go about your day as best as you can. Okay. Leaving doesn't bring relief. It will promise relief after you leave, but it never delivers. So when I was suffering really terribly with body dysmorphia, or the terms don't matter, just fear of being overweight, the fear of not having muscle, I used to say to myself, well, if I just don't go to the gym, then I'll feel better all the time because I'm not going to the gym. And it will make it feel that way. The feeling, when you hear me talk about false memory and real event, I tell people you're sitting in a room and the room is burning down behind you, around you, the room's getting really hot, that urges are coming, and on the wall it says something along the lines of, just dive into the past and figure this one thing out and I'll let you leave the room. And you open the door, and you get that hit of relief, diving into the past, trying to figure it out, and then that room catches on fire. And it's just room after room, trapdoor after trapdoor. So what a lot of people do is they'll leave a relationship and they'll actually get a lot of relief, maybe for a couple months, maybe for a year. Then it might latch on to their parents, latch on to their friends, their pets. Remember, it's called relationship OCD, not boyfriend, girlfriend OCD, not husband or wife OCD. It's anything you could have a relationship with, and that's very critical to understand. Discussing your relationship endlessly with friends for their point of view never brings relief. Social media accounts focus on how to know if you're in love and compatible with your partner or a dead end. So, the internet is an amazing thing. It's been able to give me the opportunity to share wisdom with you from my journey, going from a mental hospital to where I am now, how ROCD really tried to latch in my relationships with some of the other struggles I was having with my life. It's very easy for me to I could make a social media page right now and probably get 10,000 followers in a year just by basing it off stuff like 3 ways to know you're in love, and really kind of look at the algorithm, look at matching popular music right now. That's what we have. We have a lot of companies. My wife uses one of them of how to kind of target audiences, and that's amazing for spreading awareness. But sometimes a lot of the stuff we see in relationship has no value at all. It's nonsense, in my opinion, and it doesn't show, it's too simplistic on what's going on in relationships. So when you are talking to your friends and they don't understand OCD, they're more than likely going to give you reassurance without even them knowing that they're doing it because they don't understand OCD. So getting used to the discomfort and the unknown is so critical when it comes to breaking down why we don't need to feel a certain way. You can do it. It just takes time to allow yourself to feel very disconnected. Number 4, exes may seem more appealing as OCD meddles with your goals. Comparing how you felt with exes past is a dead end. We clicked more. Were they more exciting? Were they taller? Did they look better? I have a sneeze coming. Ooh, do I have one more? I might have one more. So breaking that down will be absolutely critical. You know, I was working with someone, if they watch this video, they'll know who I'm talking about, where they were saying there was a characteristic about their husband or their partner that they never noticed before. That's why that false memory and real event will kind of play into ROCD and make it believe that everything in the past was perfect. And that relates into the third point we just talked about leaving the relationship. It will always make it feel that leaving, it will always make it feel that the person you were with before, the times you had in the past were so much better. So breaking down the beliefs on why you don't need to be happy at all times is so critical when it comes to recovering from ROCD. Critical, like literally critical. Okay, number 5. The reason why I'm drinking a lot of water is because I just drank a cold brew on an empty stomach and I am zooming. Which is interesting because I'm presenting myself in a calm manner, but inside I'm zooming. OCD is looking... I'm such a nerd. Such a nerd / loser. Not an entire loser, just part of me is a loser. You know what I mean? Breaking it down, RBT. Anyway, back to ROCD. Number 5. OCD is looking for anything to put the relationship in jeopardy. Did I cheat? Was I honest with them? Should I tell them I've been thinking about my ex? Okay. So confession and venting have a lot of overlap. If your partner asks you how you're doing and you send 20 sentences in a row, you're not really confessing about, I was thinking about my ex, but you're like, oh, I'm not really feeling that well. I was feeling better at 2 p.m. today. Now I'm not. That's also reassurance in its own way and looking for that hit of relief. I did this a lot with basically saying how I wanted to not be here anymore over and over again. I would say, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to live. And then Rob and I broke that down and he said, do you really believe that? Or are you just saying that because it gives you a hit of relief? That was very hard for me to admit to. And I really was looking for that hit of relief. So the cheating, breaking down the fears about cheating, which I'm not going to do in this particular video, but I will do a little bit. Cheating, I'm neutral on cheating. I'm not pro or anti-cheating. Do I think cheating brings good results long-term? No, I do not. Do I think there's situations where I understand why people cheat? I do, whether that's belief systems, cultural things, their belief about being fed up in relationships, maybe. There's so many reasons why people do it. Again, I'm not saying I agree with those. I'm just saying I could see why people do that. So when you feel the need to confess, you have to sit with all that discomfort as best as you can. That is such a critical part to OCD and anxiety recovery that it will show you that you can handle discomfort a lot better than you think. Number 6, waiting for the feeling of love to come back keeps it away. You can't put a deadline on. If I don't feel a certain way by blank, I should leave. So this is why we don't use deadlines. We don't use timelines. And again, I always talk about in the webinars and one-to-ones, it's so understandable why we have deadlines and why we have this. We've been kind of conditioned to have these deadlines, right? Common cold antibiotics, 7 to 10 days. Break your leg in half, 6 months. Knee replacement, 6 to 9 months. All sorts of stuff, right? Ankle sprains, graduate high school, graduate college. We have these deadlines, but OCD recovery doesn't work that way. And when it knows you're trying to put a deadline on something, it morphs and changes in order to grab your attention again. And that is what we see all the time. And that's super, super critical to understand. When you understand that, it helps you slow things down. So the first sentence, waiting for the feeling of love to come back keeps it away. Same thing with sleep. If you're trying to push sleep, I like sleep hygiene. I like colder rooms. I've talked about this with a lot of people. But usually it's not a preference, it's a demand. So they demand that they want to sleep just like they demand that they should be in love. And understanding that and breaking that down is such a critical aspect when it comes to recovering from these things. Number 7, OCD will turn feeling ups for an ex, turn down feelings for your partner. You don't need to know how it does that, but it can feel like this. It will feel as real as it can get. This kind of goes back. I'm not going to spend too much time on this one because I talked about the ex before. The most important takeaway from point number 7 is realizing when you're looking at your partner, it will convince you that you have no emotional connection, that you're not in love, that you're almost experiencing like a depersonalization and derealization. Getting used to that is critical when it comes to recovering from ROCD. Critical. Number 8. You can't prevent thoughts, images, urges during intimate moments. OCD usually turns up the heat here, as you know you're searching for feelings. So what I always talk about when I'm speaking to an ROCD sufferer, what I talk about in the ROCD webinars, is that when you're having intimacy with your partner per se, and you have HOCD, it will make you feel completely unattractive. Maybe you lose the arousal. Maybe you'll get groinal responses thinking about someone else that you're not with your partner right now, maybe your ex. So it's going to intrude on intimacy as best as it can because it knows that you're searching for that connection. Now, if you're compulsively watching adult websites, I talk about this a lot. Again, I'm not pro or anti-adult websites, also known as pornography. I'm just talking about if you're using them to force a feeling to prove, am I attracted to women, right? This is where that HOCD, trans OCD can kind of go over into ROCD. Breaking that down is critical, bringing that down. Also getting used to not feeling connected at all. Or on the other side, trying to have intimacy with your partner 3-4 times a day to prove why you are attracted to them. So all of that, it can swing in trying to avoid or trying to prove. Either way is not good for OCD and anxiety recovery. Number 9, OCD, this is a good one. OCD zooms in on silly jokes, facial features, height, body shape, everything can turn you off. So remember the example I was using before about the person saying, well, I never noticed that about my partner before. It's going to do that. It could be hair, eyes, laugh, jokes, maybe politic jokes, talking about religion, monetary values on raising children. Anything that maybe you disagreed on in the past, now it's really going to hone in on that and make you think, well, if we don't agree on this one thing, I definitely can't be with this person. Breaking that down, one of the best books that benefited me, it's not on the reading list, but we talk about it all the time. We talk about it in the webinars, is How to Stop Destroying Your Relationships Before It Destroys You. It's like How to Stubbornly Refuse, the first book on the reading list by Dr. Albert Ellis, but relating to relationships. There's a lot of really good takeaways. If you're suffering with ROCD, I do recommend reading that book. And number 10, the last one. OCD will try and convince you as they are not the one. There's no such thing as the one. There are many matches for us. But what if we don't match? We have to break this down by looking at, when I first joined the WhatsApp groups 2.5 years ago, I was really adamant about why arranged marriages were terrible and how they're stupid. My belief systems completely have changed, so I could see why arranged marriages aren't the end of the world. Although I don't prefer them for myself, I could see how they have benefits for certain people. If you have a female, per se, that's maybe from an area of the world that's really poor, and she meets someone and they have an arranged marriage, and that person can provide them with better income, although they might not be physically attracted, because physical attraction isn't the only important thing in the relationship. This is what I'm saying right now goes against all pure Western society dogmas based around relationships. The reason why I use the word dogmas and societal beliefs is because that's where a lot of our belief systems come from. If you lived in a time period where, younger females were being married off to males, POCD wouldn't really latch. The reason why ROCD latches is because all the belief systems we have intertwine with religion, culture, economics, socioeconomic, everything that has to do with the world, the views we have now, how access we have. And again, I'm not anti or pro religion. I'm just using this as an example. We'll tie into that, why we believe there's the one. But there's no such thing as the one. And what I want to end it on, and this is so important, is that when we say that there's the one, when I got married, the vows I used, to death do us part. If that held the validity as we imagined, when you divorce someone, you would drop dead. To death do us part. So you would just die. You would just die at that moment because you are no longer, you are apart. So when you break it down, I'm not saying you can't get married and have the religious values. I'm just using this as an example to break it down. So there obviously is no such thing as the one. That's very easy to disprove. And then relationships, right? People get married to have children. People get married to have economic benefits and all this. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And to recap everything besides the 10 points, the fear of not being in love, the fear of not being the one, the fear of the loss of connection, all those are critical to break down in order to recover from ROCD and really getting used to feeling all symptoms, images and urges for exes, other people, and all that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, have a great day.